really in their thoughts. It's definitely. I don't know what they'll decide. I think it's probably more likely they'll keep Gill and loan Sarr, just because Brian Gill's a bit more. He's probably a year or two old, a bit more experience, has played at a higher level than Sarr. Sarr, I gather, Sarr had a sensational first season at Mets, but was less good last season at Mets. So maybe Tottenham think. I mean, I'm surprised if anybody at Tottenham thinks that Sarr's ready for Tottenham at this point. So maybe they think, another good season in France, or perhaps the Championship, and a bit of, a good season of English football is what he would need next. Whereas Brian Gill, they might think, well, if we don't get another attacking player, because the attacking player that they would get would probably not look that different from Brian Gill, probably be somebody who can maybe play the front three and as a creative midfielder, then maybe he would stay and Sarr would go out on loan. But that's, a lot of this depends on who comes in, really. There's still a few weeks left in transfer window, and Spurs really are kind of at the mercy of what offers they might get.
Yeah, you talk about these four players, and maybe we put Tanguy aside because his issues are certainly well documented. But we've probably got actually you included him and you just put some cut price 15 million pound fee for him. You're probably looking at 60 million pounds worth of players here. It's going to look really funny if they're still on Spurs' roster post the window. I mean, is it a possibility that the majority of these players, these four players, could still be here?
I'd be really surprised if they're still there, because Conte has made it so clear. It's really unusual for a manager to not take players on a pre-season tour. They haven't got, as far as I know, that they've not been training with the group. They were not involved yesterday in any capacity. Like, if you do that, it's because the manager doesn't want you around. And Spurs generally haven't done this. Like, the last time we can remember anything like this was in sort of early on the 2014-15 season, where he didn't like Kabul, Assou-Ekotto, Adebayor, maybe Lennon, Cafu, and they had to train separately. They were known as the bomb squad. They were barely involved against Tottenham. But back then those guys were kind of seen as sort of bad eggs really within the camp. And Spurs haven't had a similar situation to that in the last.
Danny Rose, maybe.
Yeah, so Rose is one. Rose was one off, I think. They obviously did fall out a lot with players. And Rose had his spells, like training away with kids and stuff.
Do you know what happened to Reguilon? Because I thought he was playing quite a lot last year.
He was. I don't think he's a bad player either. I just think Conte probably saw more upside in Sessegnon. I think Sessegnon is probably a better athlete than Reguilon. I think he's obviously had injury problems, but I imagine Conte did start back himself to solve those and help him get up to peak fitness. I think that Reguilon can be quite frustrating in the sense that I don't think he's any better now than he was when he joined Tottenham. Like, Tottenham signed him in June, July 2020, and I don't, he's basically the same player now. And maybe it's just being spectating. Maybe they think, well, is he actually going to keep on improving? Is he going to keep on? Can he learn any more? They might also think he's quite sellable because he's young, he's a good age, he's a Spain international. Every team in Spain will want him really, and therefore it makes more sense maybe to cut your losses on him and sell him now. Because he's one of the few guys you can get a bit of money for. So it is a bit strange, but I think there is so much upside in Sessegnon that they probably think Sessegnon plus an experienced guy is a better bet than Reguilon, an experienced guy.
But hang on, Jed. Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up because I can't. It seems like this Destiny young left back, Macy, certainly one of the Serie A team. I mean, I'm sure he's a wonderful player, but I can't understand why are we in the frame for a left back when, to use your words, there's so much upside with Sessegnon. He had a great game yesterday. It's clearly in the plans. I can't really quite get my hands around that one.
I don't know a lot about this guy. I don't know what sort of player he is. So I'm not an expert on him. What I would say is that if Tottenham wants to compete as a big club, really, one thing that, say, City and Chelsea do is hoover up the market for the best young players in Europe, loan them out, increase their value, and then maybe, some of them might be good enough for your first team, a lot of them won't be, but you can make a profit from sales on them.
Yeah.
And City and Chelsea make huge amounts of money doing this. Now, so a lot of people might have ethical issues with this, and that's fair enough, but it is just part of the football industry. And it's also something Tottenham have already done. Tottenham have done it in the UK market, Tottenham, I think, would do pretty well at academy level, but they don't really make a lot of money by selling on their academy players. They certainly don't do what City and Chelsea do and recruit abroad and then sell those guys on. Obviously, it's made slightly harder by Brexit, because after Brexit, you can't sign 16-year-olds to less than the EU until 18. But it will be interesting to see if this is this is something which Tottenham try and do, if they are trying to emulate the kind of City, United, Chelsea level of club a bit more.
No, it's a great point. And to be fair, it's probably one of the few things that, like, for example, Chelsea has done well financially from an operating perspective. Obviously, just sort of burning pound notes at the clip, but they've really done well with their player trade.
It's also in a position, Sam. Sorry, it's in a position where Reguilón's got one foot out the door for the reasons that Jack alluded to, but the left wing back position right now is a hell of an upside from Sessegnon and a 33-year-old with experience. So if you are going to sign this Destiny kid with bags of talent and potential, then maybe you're earmarking him at some point to come in and take over from Heritage or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of forward thinking, forward planning, not something that Conte's always associated with, but again, this is the way we need to behave as a club, I suppose.
All right, so show of hands if you think we get at least one more follow-up. I'm going to put my hand up. I'm the only one. So you two. Someone. Jack, you say no.
I'd probably bet against them getting in like a first team ready player. I wouldn't be surprised they sign maybe a young player they can loan out or whatever, or to improve the squad. But I think in terms of like a prominent expensive first team player, probably just bet against it at this point.
No more last minute maneuvering by Daniel Levy.
He's not that guy anymore, so.
It's right. He's lost his calling card, like his go-to.
Yeah, he's kind of ripped up his. This is something why I wrote about the other day, and I think it's like one of the most significant developments this summer. He's ripped up his playbook. The idea of going in on the last day to try and sign a top targets, which is something he's done a lot, with a lot of success. Some failures like Coutinho, Dybala, but some successes over the years, like Van der Vaart's the biggest one. But this year, I think Conte said, no, I can't be waiting until the 31st of August to sign something.
No, as I read your article, Jack, I thought to myself as a collective, the number of decisions that he's made over the past 20 years have been last minute. To the net, it hasn't really moved the organization in the manner that I think we want it to now, and it's sort of it's the first time that I've ever really known. I've said this for years. I felt we were an organization. We were a sick organization. We were culturally sick. Just our decisions, our philosophy. But that just seems like that's just like we are becoming. God forgive me for saying this. We're acting like an aspiring championship organization.
I think so. Yeah. I just think a lot of it to do with money. Like, as in, Spurs have more money, which means more power, which means they can do what they want more. Like, Spurs have always been playing with one hand behind their back, simply because, since Enoch bought the club, Chelsea been bought by Roman Abramovich and City been bought by the UAE.
But they've had money. This is just the first time that they've actually decided to actually put fresh equity, like to say that Spurs is in a good enough shape that we should invest more money in the club. It's the first time because the stadium was, for all intents and purposes, behind.
The extra was actually supposed to be done anything like this in 2004, I think, and that was 50 million, which is 10 times that.
Yeah, now the one before was done for real estate, and they ultimately got paid back. They got it preferred, and then they paid it back.
It's also made the phone with the point of Santini.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is also just assessing the marketplace. Like it's a really good buyer's, it's a buyer's market at the moment. No one, as I said earlier, nobody has any money in football apart from the Premier League. It's a great time to be buying football. Also, the fifth Champions League place is coming to Premier League after next year, which makes it an even better time to be throwing your weight around as a big English team. And also, you know, if Tottenham, if they can't invest all this extra money into the club, the way to escape their attention, watch this happen to Chelsea this summer. Chelsea obviously bought billions of pounds by guys who tried to buy Tottenham only 3 years before. Lots of the people who were linked with Chelsea this summer have been interested in Tottenham in the past, and I'm sure it won't, you know, it will have occurred to ENIC that if they did want to sell Tottenham at some point in the next few years, they would probably have a lot of offers, and being in the Champions League would be helpful to that as well. So I think we can't ignore that context as well.
Hey, real quick, to follow up something you said there. Point of application: is it top 4 this year, and then the top 5 next year in the league in the 23-24 season that qualify for Champions League, or is it the top 5 this year?
It's top 5 next year, I think. I think it starts from the 24-25 Champions League, which means in the summer of 2024, they will judge which team has had the best coefficient the previous season. So we won't know for certain during the 23-24 season, but by the end of the 23-24 Premier League season, it will become clear, I think, on the coefficient basis which 2 leagues get the extra place. So I think assuming that nothing disastrous happens to English teams this season, I think it's safe to assume that if you'll come 5th in the Premier League next season, you'll be in the 24-25 Champions League.
Yeah, it'll be England and Spain, won't it? I think they're miles ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, let's talk about Chelsea. We're going to beat Chelsea. I know we don't like getting into predictions.
Nah, no predictions. But
what's your psyche going into that game? Do you feel a little different than maybe time past? Is it that shitty place?
Yes, but at the same time, come kick off, I'll be shitting myself. So yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's the one game I sort of write off. And no matter how good we're playing, the history just says bad things. So that's not about it.
That's where you.
Yeah, somewhere where Dan is, I think, at the moment. It's not a game that I look forward to. Not the history shows us that we shouldn't look forward to. But that said, I'm kind of on a little bit of a high at the moment, as most Spurs fans are, given the way we ended last season, the summer activity, and then yesterday's performance. There's just an air about us at the moment. It feels something different, and at the very least, we will give Chelsea a game this time, which I don't think we did in 3 or 4 encounters last season.
Jack, you feel the reasons that Spurs fans might not feel as freaked out prior to this match as they normally or have been historically?
Well, look, I mean, football, Spurs fans have every right to feel freaked out if that's how they feel. But rationally, I think this is probably the best time to play Chelsea than it's been for a while. I think Tottenham are better team than Chelsea at this point. Obviously, I think that has been the point of various junctures in the past where Spurs have not won at Stamford Bridge. There's no guarantee, but yeah, I think this is a good chance to any.
Yeah, I go back to my 4 words that I mentioned earlier. I have a pretty good feeling about stuff, and frankly, even if that result doesn't go that way in the context of the long season, and we've proven that we can do